tryna say I'm only in the me. Got a code with my dogs, can get in between. I can give them life, no more energy. Amen.
We're back. Me and JJ both on separate vacations the last couple weeks. Haven't been able to record. I know you guys missed us, but we are back. And we were hot before we left. We're planning to stay hot now. We have the wild card Monday, Rams and Vikings. We're going to get anything. But first, JJ, long time. How you been, man?
I'm great, man. New year, same me, basically. But, I feel a little bit more refreshed. So, I'm ready for some picks.
Oh, yeah. And that reminds me, Happy New Year, everybody. But we got a great game on our hands. Honestly, this was the game I was most excited for coming into the playoffs. So I'm glad this is a kind of island game on a Monday. And we can just dive right into things. We'll start with the pass game because who doesn't love talking about the pass game? We have the Vikings. I mean, Sam Darnold just looked horrible against the Lions, but the Lions were getting so much pressure to him. And normally that's something that we target with the Rams. Their pressure rate was pretty high throughout the season. However, lately it's gone down a lot. They've gotten to be average in terms of pressure rate. And so that should help Darnold a little bit more. But other than that, JJ, what are you seeing out of this passing game for the Vikings?
Yeah, passing game out of the Vikings. I mean, it's one thing that everybody's kind of been targeting, this wide receiver ones all season. They're going to continue to do that. So outside of that, I mean, I really don't think no one's really standing out to really target. I mean, do you see anything else outside of receiver ones?
The main thing that I want to target is the Rams DVOA against deep ball is, I think, 4th or 5th worst in the NFL. So that tells me two things, Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson. But like you said, they've struggled specifically against the wide receiver one. So I think this could be a big Justin Jefferson day, especially after that Lions game where he just got absolutely locked up by Robertson. Darnold had a horrible game. I don't think those are coincidences. I think those are very obviously correlated. So coming into the playoffs, I think Darnold's going to go back to his guy. And if you're smart, if me and you were the quarterback of the Vikings right now, the one thing we'd be thinking is, hey, let's get Justin Jefferson as involved as possible. And in a good matchup, I can't imagine they don't do that. But outside of him, obviously we said the deep ball is good for Jordan Addison. However, I think the next best option is probably TJ Hawkinson over him, actually, because they're not very good versus tight ends either. I want to say they're 8th worst on the season against tight ends. They're very bad against the play action, which is usually good for Hawkinson just peeling out of a block. They're not very good against the run either. So get a couple good runs in, and then it opens up that play action game for either Jefferson or Hawkinson. I think there's a lot of ways to go for this Vikings offense, specifically in the passing game. But enough of that. Let's get into the Rams passing attack. Everybody's healthy still. Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Kyren Williams in there. They rested everybody for week 18. This is supposed to be a home game for them, but obviously because of everything going on in California, the game got moved to Arizona. And while obviously that's horrible and for reasons other than football, but they do lose the home field advantage. They do get to play in a dome, which is still going to be good for them since they want to lean on that pass game with Matthew Stafford. And Minnesota allows one of the highest first read shares in the NFL, which tells us one thing. Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua has been an absolute monster this season. Most people are probably scared to put him in that top 5 category. Obviously, we need a little bit more of these performances or multiple seasons of this to put him in that. But he's been playing like it this season. And
he's knocking on the door right now.
Yeah, if he does this next season, I mean, there's no denying it. His line's like 90.5 yards, rightfully so. Outside of that, kind of what are you seeing in the passing game for the Rams?
Yeah, passing game. I mean, honestly, it's just strictly going to be Puka Nacua because, Vikings, they still blitz a ton, and he is the go-to guy versus the blitz. I think you said, was it like 40% target share against the blitz?
Yeah, something crazy.
And then I think just a little over 3 targets per game. So I think averaging 18 yards per reception against the blitz. So honestly, I think he's definitely going to rip off a huge one here in this game off of one of those blitzes. Outside of that, I mean, I just don't know what to say with Cooper Kupp. I know he disappointed so many people in the fantasy playoffs that first week. But,
Yep.
I mean, even outside of that, I think it's just Puka Nacua is the alpha receiver. I just, it's kind of funny to see like everybody's like, all right, coming into the season, Cooper Cup is still going to be that guy. I thought he was still going to be that guy, but Puka Nacua has completely taken over as he should. Um, yeah, I don't. It's just got
I
to be.
mean, dude, last time they played was the first game that both of them were healthy. I'll be the first to admit I was on the Cooper Cup side because while
Yeah.
Minnesota's bad versus wide receiver ones, they're usually worse versus the slot as well, at least at that moment in time. So I was like, okay, Cooper Cup, this is his time to kind of wake people up again. But no, even in that game, it was all Puka Nacua. So we've already seen it happen. I don't see a reason it doesn't happen again. We even saw it last week. There's JMO and Amon-Ra St. Brown. And Amon-Ra St. Brown just cooked, just reception after reception after reception. Every time you needed a big play from him, he was going to do it. Kind of obviously, Puka isn't in the slot as much, but I don't expect much different from Puka here. So it feels square to say, hey, the two best wide receivers are going to have two very good games, but this is just a game where both the matchups open that up. And I think that's exactly what you want when you're seeing a game like this, with the importance of this when you're looking for the entertainment as a fan. Because obviously, actually, I don't know who your NFL team is now that I think about it, but I'm not a fan of either team. I just want to see good
I
football.
don't have a team that I like root for. Did grow up in
Yeah.
Seattle, but it was like, eh. But I mean, I've always kind of watched every single team because I just like to break down each roster. It wasn't like, oh, I hate this team, I hate that team, or I like this team more. It's just, love of the game. That's all.
Well, I hate the Vikings because I'm a Lions fan.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
But regardless, my whole point of that is just, hey, if you're not a fan of either of these teams, you're still very excited to watch this game. And
Yeah.
that's kind of everything you need to know about the pass game. We can get into the run game, and there's, at least the way I see it, I don't know if you see it any differently, there's not much to talk about. I mean, the Vikings' run defense is amazing, which isn't going to be great for Kyron Williams, but we all know how McVay is with his run scheme. He'll find a way. And then on the other side, the Rams are average in almost every stat except for one. That's stuff right there. Don't stuff the run at all, at least since week 10. I think they had the second lowest stuff rate in the NFL. And that's almost worse than allowing explosive plays, because if teams can consistently get 2, 3, 4 yards, even if they're not breaking a big one, you're getting into a lot of third and shorts, second and intermediate, and you can just churn out long drives. It's going to tire out the defense. You're not going to be able to get a stop, and it just sounds like a mess. And then it opens up the play action game too. So it's not good as a defense, and Minnesota should have a decent amount of usage in the run game. I don't want to call it success because I'm not expecting many big plays, but I don't think there's going to be a scenario where they have to get away from the run because it's not working.
Yeah, you're definitely on the right path there because let's see, we got Vikings 12th in zone concept for weeks 12 through 17, excluding week 18 because so many teams sat out players and all that, so it was very pointless. Rams are man gap concept. They're 17th in yards per carry. So, I mean, 17th in yards per carry for Rams. The Vikings, 20th in yards per carry in their respect. And, I mean, both defenses are averages against those as well. I mean, Rams, see, yards per carry against zone defense, 20th. Then you got Vikings against man gap, they're 9th. So it's a little bit better. No, I mean, 9th worst. My bad. 9th worst. But I mean, Kyron had 23 carries, 90-something yards. Will he do that again? I don't know, maybe. But I mean, his Blake Corum has been eating into his workload over the second half of the season. Was it they switch every other drive and all that?
It's still only like 15. I people have been talking about that. I'm pretty sure it's still like 15% rush share. I don't think it's anything from a profiting standpoint, maybe, but I think his usage, his rush temp lines have adjusted for that. But just at least from reading the game perspective for me, I don't think it's that noteworthy.
Yeah. I mean, I think both teams rely on the pass here. We'll see if Sam Darnold is seeing ghosts again like last week. But I mean, I just don't see a whole lot coming from either run game here.
I agree. And I think one thing for me that just on top of the run game that leaves me scratching my head a little bit, Darnold has been great this season, and it's been a story that I've enjoyed to see even as a Lions fan. I still don't know how much I trust him in like the big moments because I feel like he's done solid in a lot of moments, but then there's been some times where he just randomly has a red zone turnover that there was just no need for that almost makes you think, oh yeah, that was the one I saw at the Jets. Like we know he's not the Jets Sam Darnold anymore, but there's some little flashes here and there where I'm like, oh, he got away with that one, or oh, he shouldn't have done that. And I think in the playoffs, there's a chance that could show up more than ever if he does it again. And that's my main concern with the Vikings in this game, I feel like. And that was really the only thing I wanted to add there before we get into talking about the parlay. I don't know if you have any concerns on the Rams side or something you want to piggyback onto that.
I mean, I guess hopefully Stafford's not playing like he has to end the season the last couple of games. You know, it's a little bit of a struggle. But I mean, I think they should be fully rested. They should be good to go here. So hopefully that's not a concern.
Yeah, no, we were saying this all season. As much as the Rams weren't like the title favorite that you were scared of, nobody wants to play the Rams. Nobody wanted to get the Rams draw when the playoffs game. When I was watching that Lions-Vikings game, in my mind, I wanted to not face the Rams more than I wanted the first round bye. Not because I didn't think we would beat the Rams, but that's a matchup that you're not expected to lose, but you have a higher chance to lose than you would think. And that's kind of how I see it for the Vikings. But yeah, let's just start talking about the parlay, which everybody has been waiting for. You guys have missed it for weeks. And let's get into it. The first one we're going to start with is the Rams. We're expecting them to win this game. Not only did we take their money line, we actually took their -2.5, so we get a little bit of extra juice on the odds. And this is the reason why. Quarterbacks with playoff experience facing those that are making their first playoff start. Stafford has playoff experience. Sam Darnold does not. Are 37-19-1 over the past 20 years against the spread. The spread's +2.5. Usually when the spread's that low, we just take the money line. And since we need a little bit of juice on the odds, I mean, as long as the Rams don't win by just 1 or 2, which is obviously unlikely, they should cover that alt spread of -2.5. And then the other aspect was since 2003, Super Bowl winning quarterbacks are 72% against the spread as playoff underdogs, which is what the Rams are today. It's technically a home game. The Vikings still had to travel way more. The Rams have more rest. Matthew Stafford should have control of this game. So the first leg is the Rams -2.5. The second leg is a Kyren Williams touchdown. This is very rarely the value on the odds that we get here. I understand that the Vikings defense is good, especially against the run, but his usage in the red zone, even with Blake Corum getting 15% of rush attempts overall, has still been one of the best in the NFL. And on top of that, the last 3 games, the Vikings are allowing one of the highest percentage of rushing touchdowns in the NFL. So Kyren Williams should be able to find the end zone today. And the last one is Justin Jefferson to get a 25-yard or higher reception. He's hit this in 14 of 17 games this season. 2 of those misses were both against the Bears, who have a solid deep ball defense and allow the least yards to wide receiver ones in the NFL. The Rams are on the opposite spectrum of both of those stats. So Justin Jefferson, 25 long reception should be nothing. Lock those 3 in. We get a 50% or 30% boost on ESPN bet. Sorry. We put in half a unit. That's what they maxed us out on. So we were hot before we left for vacation. Hopefully we stay hot afterwards. Happy New Year. Happy holidays to everybody who celebrated. Hopefully me and JJ can keep cashing you guys out. Take care, everybody.